Morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is 10 o'clock on August 19th, and let's give it a couple minutes and we'll start the meditation. And let's dive deep into peace and just being in the stillness and the quiet of this moment that's here in every moment. So, welcome, and we'll start in a couple minutes. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's 10:02 on Thursday, August 19th, and just grateful to be here to meditate again. And thank you for joining me. Um, we're busy looking for a car for Laura. We've had a lot of car problems this year. We have an '07 and a 2012. We've kept up with them, so they're actually good cars, but it's time for a new one, and so we're looking into making that happen. So my mind's been a little bit busy. I tend have that old tendency, that old habit when I'm wanting something to turn to my mind to get it, and I'm just reminded again to take a step back when we really want something. Just take a step back, choose it, and with God, just choose it, and then whatever thoughts come up that stand in the way of manifesting that truth, that's what we get to be mindful of and watchful of, just a witness to. And it can be actually a very easy manifestation if we don't keep turning to our head, but turn to our heart instead. So thank you for joining this morning. Um, yeah, I feel grateful that you're here. Thank you so much. Let's meditate. So, just allowing your body to be nice and comfortable with whatever you're sitting or lying on. And welcome here. Welcome to this new day, this new adventure that we call life. And let us just in this moment trust that life and God are here for us. They're here to support us. They're here to love us. They're here to awaken us. That is good news, right? Because I know we've all questioned along our path, is God really on our side? Look at all this pain and all the suffering. And it's easy to turn to the head and have all these reasons as to why God is against us. And then the more we learn to have trust and faith that God truly is here just to help us to awaken. And there's things that are simply blocking us from realizing that truth. So God comes along with all of God's grace and all of God's love and said, look, my friends, my my sons, my daughters, please, I love you. I'm on your side. I am simply giving you this experience because there's something that you're holding on to that you don't need to be holding on to. And I'm simply giving you this experience so, and I know it feels painful and it feels like a struggle sometimes, but it doesn't need to be. Can you just let go of your pain and your struggle? Can you flow with me? Can you allow me to work with you and through you and as you, so that we can begin to um, there's a word on the tip of my tongue, not disband, but just dislodge these old beliefs that you have so tightly hung on to. And that's all God is asking, is just to flow with God, to be grateful for what we're being given, knowing that it's perfect in each moment. And so right now, I just invite you just to really take a nice deep breath in. And for right now, for this meditation, just this short 45-minute, hour meditation, just let go of all the past. Let go of all the past. Let go of all your opinions of what you think is right. And that can be a really challenging thing for a lot of people, and particularly people that have a very strong opinion, are very opinionated. It can feel it can feel challenging to let go of that, because we've relied on our intellect, we've relied on our mind to get us through life in so many ways. But it's because of that that it actually keeps us limited and locked into a place of stress and struggle, because it's our opinions that are getting in the way of just the pure innocence and freedom of who we are. So just letting go of all the past, all the blame, all the judgments, all the opinions, just for right now. That's all. And just for right now, letting go of all your worries, which is simply a fear of the unknown. That's all it is. Can you right now just have a trust and faith that everything is unfolding as it needs to? And there's no problems that you need to solve. And who is the you that's going to solve them anyhow? Is it the truth of who you are, or is it simply your mind that is telling you, I know what to do, listen to me, I have the answers, I know what happiness is, I know what peace is, I know what success is? And if we look closer, we will see that all the things the mind is striving for is something outside of yourself, because it doesn't know to look within. It doesn't recognize that it doesn't have the sense to know that this body and the mind, will someday fade away. It will someday pass. And so it doesn't understand what it means to look beyond the mind and the body, something that is with you through eternity, the eternal truth of who you are, your soul, your God essence, that invisible, non physical force that is simply the awareness, of the thoughts, of the feelings, of your experiences. You know, I say these words over and over again, and you even hear me say that quite oftentimes, that I say these words over and over again. I don't know why that I'm drawn to share this over and over, not just for you, but for myself. I actually need to say this over and over and over again. And the funny thing is, I may have said it or heard it 200 times, 1,000 times, and yet there's something that still feels like I need to say it. Maybe for me, maybe for you, probably for both of us. And yet, as I share these words, somehow, some way, maybe there's a shift within me, or maybe a shift within you, or both again, but the words come out a little bit different. Like it's the same words, but there's a different angle, a different approach that somehow, sometimes just shifts us to say, oh, okay, it just sunk in a little bit deeper. Over this last year for me, the last year and a half since COVID, and I've been leading meditations almost deeply, I have sunk into a place of peace that is just really beautiful and freeing. And all of a sudden confidence is showing up for me. Where before I might have been nervous to have 3 or 4 people, now I'm ready to share it with hundreds, maybe thousands of people. It's just shifted within me. And it's just this our willingness to let go. That's really what it is. It's a willingness to let go. There's a program out there called the Sedona Method, which I had the cassette. I think I still have the cassette tapes for. Whoops. I got a tap on that, so I'm not going to share about that. But I guess my point is that we have the capacity to truly let go of anything in any moment. Any moment we can let go of anything. It's just that rather we have a willingness, an openness, and a desire to do that. Then there's nothing we can't just release and let go of. And it's like sometimes you might hear somebody, I'll try to let go of it. It's like holding a pencil in your hand and saying to somebody, can you let go of the pencil? And they say, well, I'll try to let go of it. It's just as easy as just simply making the choice. With a pencil, you can let go of it because you're not you don't need to hold on to it. You don't need you might say, I'm afraid to break the lead on the pencil. If I drop it and it lands on the tip of it, then I might break the lead on it. But most people would not have that worry or that uh, concern that they're going to break the lead on the pencil, so they go, sure, I'll just let go of the pencil. I'm just asking you to let go of these old stories. That's all, just to let go of these old stories. And so oftentimes our opinions and our self-righteousness, those things that we want to hold on to so tightly because we like maybe being intelligent, we like being wise, or the story that we're wise. We like being, maybe we've got a beautiful physical body. We like being this body. I like this body. You see, the only thing that holds you into this world, and when I say into this world, I'm talking about when Jesus said be in the world but not of it. When you're being in this world but you're not separating being in it from of it, then it's because something is still holding your interest. Like, you know what? I'm not done giving up sex. I like sex and I'm not ready to give it up. And I like being famous. I'm not willing to give that. I like being rich and I'm not willing to give that up. And remember, might have been yesterday or a couple of days ago, I said what Sada Shiva had said: to awaken, uh, what must you give up to awaken? Nothing. What must you be willing to give up? Everything. So you see, it's only those things that we aren't willing to give up that keep us locked in this limited experience, this experience where we're still the person rather than transcending the person, transcending all the stories of who we think we are, and stepping into that freedom, that innocence, that beauty and truth that we already are right now in this moment. So once you have the willingness to let go of everything, then you find out that everything is at your fingertips. I'm saying that because I've had glimpses of this truth and there is an intuitive knowing of this truth. I don't live that myself. There's certain things that I still hold on to as well. Sugar being one of those things. I'm just not quite ready to give up that experience. And it's okay. It's okay, but recognize that it keeps me from diving deeper into the truth of who I am. But what's also true is noticing that I sometimes just say, you know what, I'm going to enjoy a piece of chocolate cake right now. That's usually my go to example. If you follow me much, my piece of chocolate cake. I'm gonna. I'm noticing that I'm wanting a piece of chocolate cake, but who is it wanting a piece of chocolate cake? And this is important. It's not the truth of who I am. It's that story that I've bought into that I want or need or I'm attached to having this piece of chocolate cake. And it's important to recognize that it's not me, the truth of who I am, that really wants or needs or is attached to having that. And then the more you are aware of that, you begin to discreate this old belief that says, I have to have this piece of chocolate cake. And the more you release it, then it's easier and easier and easier to make that decision to say, you know what? I don't need to have it. My sugar habits, my eating habits have changed dramatically for the last, I don't know what it's been, 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. I've just eaten one meal a day, and sometimes I'll have some snacks during the evening, but my body is feeling so much better. I'm running around with my doggie and the puppy that she plays with. I'm sprinting and feeling fantastic. And doing intermittent fasting, eating one time a day or even just two times a day, lighter meals, you really clear out so much physically. But my point is that as I begin to release this old belief, this old attachment, this old unwillingness to let go of my need for sugar, my attachment to sugar, it begins to fall away more and more until only the truth remains, which is I'm at peace whether I have the chocolate cake or not. Even that's hard to say. What? Give up my chocolate cake? Oh my God. But the truth is, I have given up a lot of it. And sometimes I just say, okay, I'm aware that it's not the truth, and yet I'm going to have this experience anyhow. Eckhart Tolle used to say, take 3 conscious breaths. And on the third conscious breath, if you're still having that desire, eat it and enjoy it. Just eat it and enjoy it. But so my example is just those things that we still have an interest to experiencing those. We still have an attachment and we're not quite ready to give those up. It's okay. If that's your experience, then simply notice, simply be aware of how you still have an attachment, how your person still has an attachment, but it's not the truth of who you are. And the more you can begin to separate that out, the more these old attachments and desires begin to fall away and a new truth begins to emerge. It's not even a new truth. The truth of who you have always been, who you will always be, that begins to reveal itself as you begin to let go of all these old desires and attachments. And that is being in the world but not of it. There's nothing that draws you in that you have to stay in this world. So but you are here and you're fully present with it. So right now I just invite you to let go of all your attachments and desires, even, and I'm going to do this too, even the sex, the chocolate cake, the I want to get a new car, I want to let go of my attachments and desires of that. Even for me, I have to let go of my attachment and desire to lead meditation every day. I don't choose to do this. Actually, the reason I do this is because I feel fulfilled with it, and I feel a divine inspiration to that I need to act on. But I don't want to hold on to anything with that as well. I want to approach each moment with a place of innocence. And that means letting go of all our desires of attachment, even the and attachment to life and to God. Even the attachment and desire to God, we have to let that go and see that there is something even beyond that, that is a natural calling, a natural fulfillment that is beyond any need or addiction to have it. So, just for this meditation, you can pick it up afterwards if you want, but just for this meditation, I'm inviting you to let go of all your desires and attachments. And I'm throwing that chocolate cake in the ring. And I like sex too. I'm throwing that in there as well. I'm throwing everything in. I'm throwing God in as well. And to know and trust that actually you can't ever get rid of God no more than you can get rid of your true self. You can let go of everything, but you can't let go of or get rid of your true self. That's why when I ask you to empty everything out, I literally mean everything. There's nothing you can think of or imagine that is not worth letting go. And then see for yourself what remains. If some of you listen to Muji, which I love what he teaches, he has been my teacher for, I'm going to say, about the last year and a half. My main teacher from the Ashaya Ascension, uh, Maharishi Sadashiva, who I call him Sadashiva, Maharishi Sadashiva Asham, um, somewhat passed me over maybe 8 or 10 years, maybe 10 years ago, I'd say roughly, to say, you know, the Ashaya Ascension meditation is no longer for you. There were some things that it wasn't a healthy relationship, and I didn't realize it, but my mind had got involved, way too involved with what the Ashaya Ascension meant and how I was supposed to do it, and how many hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a day, I was meditating. And eventually Sadashiva said, I'm passing you along to God. I can no longer serve you. And it was shortly after that that I had a dream with God in my dream. My vision, my perception of what God means to me. And it was God escorting me home to the ocean of God, climbing over the mountains and up and down the valleys. And there were there was the journey along the way that was a long journey, but God and one of God's angels was with me to walk me home. And it actually not even walk me home. It wasn't walking. That's the thing. I was going up and down the mountains and the valleys, but God carried me the whole way. And I guess that's why that story came up. Will you allow God to carry you? Will you just simply rest back your body, your mind, your whole beingness? Will you just simply lay back into the metaphorical hands of God and allow God to carry you home? Just flowing with the river of life, flowing with the river of God, just trusting that it is here for you, that it's here to serve you, that its grace is upon you. And God would never, ever abandon us. It's not even possible for God to abandon us. The only thing that's possible is for us to buy into certain beliefs that simply block us from recognizing God's presence and the truth of who you are from right here, right now. I had somebody that came up to me a couple weeks ago and said she needed some support, and she said God has left her, and she felt the pain of it. And I listened, and we had a conversation, and she finally got clear that there's no way that God can leave you. It's kind of like a fish looking around for the water, right? It's so steeped in the water, it's everywhere around it that the fish doesn't even recognize that it's there. And then till one day it jumps out of the water, and although it doesn't want to leave the water, and it's meant to be in the water, it's by jumping out of the water that the fish recognizes that which is not the water. And so sometimes it's helpful for us to actually have this experience of what it feels like to be abandoned by God, even though it's not possible. And one time I went through something that felt incredibly painful for me as I just wanted to experience God more and more. And I prayed to God, please, Father, please help me to just experience you, be with you at all times. I've tasted your fruit and I don't want anything less. And then a day came where I couldn't feel God. I couldn't feel God. And I felt what it felt like to be without God. And it was in that moment that I understood that what it was like when God came back. I could feel this subtle energy. I could feel that it was just this beautiful, gentle subtleness that is always with me, but it's so sweet, it's so soft, it's so gentle that I didn't recognize that it's there. And it was incredibly painful. So grateful that I had that experience because it was in seeing my my experience of what it felt like to be without God, of how important it was for me to know and realize I never want to live without God. And so sometimes things are taken away from us. Sometimes we go through something called a pandemic or COVID, where all of a sudden we don't have a job, or we can't go in public or eat at restaurants, and we can't just do some of the things that we're used to doing. Sometimes these things are pulled away from us. And then when they're given back to us, we say, oh, Father, thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your grace, that you would take these things away from me so that you could help me to see how important they are and how wonderful it is in my life. And I am grateful. And we see some of the stress and the struggle in the world of what people lose. And then when they regain it, how beautiful and amazing that it is, that our heart is filled with gratitude. And we lost power recently for, I don't know what it was, 4 or 5 days. And when the power came back on, everyone in the neighborhoods was so grateful, and you could see the joy because we remember, what it was like to be without it. And we felt this deep sense of gratitude. Thank you, Father. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for restoring the power in my life. God is so beautiful. God's grace, God's love, God's compassion. And I know sometimes it feels like we're being picked on or others are being picked on. And sometimes it's so hard to watch our own lives or watch the lives of others when we feel, oh my God, all this suffering they're going through. the woman who was witness to her child that was violently murdered, and eventually the anger and the hatred ate at her, and she got a divorce and her life was falling apart, and she finally saw, this is killing me. I have to understand more. And so she went to go visit the prisoner, and she didn't understand, and so she went to visit him again and again, and then she started to understand, and then she started to love him. She loved him and she forgave him. And she got, not only did she get her life back, she got more than her life back. She got this love, because when you can practice forgiveness at that level, there is nothing that you can't forgive. Jesus was the greatest teacher of that, right? When he was on the cross being crucified, the horrible, horrific things that he had to go through. And I think it's safe to say that none of us have ever gone through that or will ever go through that. But Jesus, in his wisdom, in his beauty, and his truth of showing you who you are, showing the God essence of who you are, that you and the Father are also one, as he has said, showing you this, that even in his most difficult time, he was able to say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And so I just invite you right now to say that to yourself. Forgive me, Father, for I know not what I do. I was unconscious. I was unaware. I wasn't living as the truth of who I am, and I just couldn't see it. And Father, forgive those people that I have called my enemies, because they too were unconscious and didn't know what they were doing. They didn't come from that place of truth of who they are. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And forgive me, Father, for I know not what I do. And I give over to you all of my past, all of my shame, all of my guilt, all of my blame of myself or others. And I choose to return home to the beautiful truth and freedom that I already am. My mind still gets a little bit busy when I cry. Um, I have this story that I don't like how I look when I cry. And then I had a friend from high school that was watching on Facebook, and she came on and she saw me crying, and she said to my brother, "Is your brother okay? He was crying during his meditation." So, how can I ask you? How can I ask you to let go of your pain? How can I ask you to let go of your past if I'm not willing to do it myself? I don't want to hold on to these old stories, and I hope you don't want to hold on to them either. They're not meant for us to hold on to. All these burdens, all this stress, all this suffering, it's not meant for us to carry. It's truly not. And if you don't feel ready to let them go, I invite you, at least for this meditation, to set them to the side so that you can just rest in the peace and the stillness of this beautiful, perfect moment. And the beautiful thing is when we let go, when we just let go and we let that sadness go and that old pain go, then love and joy fill our heart. Right now, I feel more and more gratitude for all of you, gratitude for my life, gratitude for our beloved Creator, for my Father, your Father, who loves us so much and is just pouring His grace upon us. So, right now, I invite you just to open your heart, open your mind, and just allow God's grace in. Allow God's love in. Let it permeate every single cell, every single atom. Let it fill your body up. Let it fill your mind up. Let it fill your emotional body, your aura. Let it fill every ounce of your being, both physical and non-physical. Just allow yourself to return to that pure love and beauty that you have always been and that you will always be. Melt into God's love, God's bliss, God's blessings, God's grace. Just surrender into that right now if you're open for it. And if you're open for it, just giving your life over in its entirety to God, to trust and have faith that God is on your side. And if you can just do this, just even for a moment, just even for a moment, you can be blessed beyond imagination. Just the deeper you can surrender into God, it's really just surrendering into you. It's surrendering into the love, the peace, the joy, the freedom, and the innocence and the beauty that you already are. That's all you're doing is surrendering your old self and merging with the true self that you have always been. And let's just rest in this stillness, this silence. And if your mind gets busy, let it get busy. Let the mind say or do whatever it wants to. It's not any of your business. What the mind thinks of you is none of your business. It's just the mind, and you are not that. You are not the thinker of the thoughts. Yes, the mind has a beautiful and wonderful place in your life, but not as the master and you the slave. Let it serve you, but not out of intelligence, not out of memory, not out of solving your problems or bringing you happiness. Let it simply serve you as a servant and as you, that empty, beautiful truth, as the God essence of who you are. Let that person be your guiding light. Let you be that guiding light. And so, right now, just coming back to being aware of your breath, coming back to this present moment, and just rest in the stillness of this moment. And if your mind has drifted, just simply notice the thought, allow it to gently and effortlessly pass on by, and come back to being aware of the breath. And this is the same energy you take into your day during the day. If your mind drifts off and you find yourself in a thought or a feeling or a stress in any way, simply notice it, allow it to be, just gently let it pass on by, and come back to being aware of your breath, which brings you back to this present moment and every present moment. And if your mind is drifted, just simply coming back to the present moment once again, coming back to being aware of your breath. So we're going to begin to bring this meditation to completion. If you'd like to continue meditating, please mute or turn your device off. And thank you so much for joining today. And it was a good meditation if you want to go back and listen to it if you missed the earlier part. And for those of you who are ready to finish with me, just taking in a nice deep breath. Just filling the air, the oxygen into the lungs and moving the body some, stretching. And then taking your time, and whenever you're ready, opening your eyes. And let's just see what we've got going on here. So go over to Facebook here and let's see here. So I see Cheryl, a type of pain like childbirth that hurts so good. Yeah, right. Okay, is that what you were having, Cheryl? Um, but yes, you're right. Just releasing the pain. Thanks for the love, and Michelle, thanks for being here, my friend. And let me swing back over. And I don't know if I know somebody's out in YouTube. I'm guessing it's you, Sandy. But if you'd like to say something, you can. And if not, that's okay. Don't ever feel like you have to, you guys. So, um, okay. Well, I think that's about it. Let's see. Tomorrow is Friday, so I'll be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And meditations have been so good for me personally. Just I feel like they go deeper and deeper. I'm really just being so conscious and aware of my thoughts throughout the day. And yes, sometimes I get sucked into my person and I get drawn into the challenges of the world sometimes. But it doesn't take long for me to say, oh, okay, I realize I've been pulled off track by my person, just a story and a belief. Can I simply notice that thought and come back to the present moment? And it's like hitting the reset button. All of a sudden, you come back to the present moment. Everything is good again. It's literally that way. So, yes, good meditation. Sandy says, my daily practice helps me notice the painful overthinking. Yeah, good, Sandy. Good, good. So, okay, you guys, I think that's about it. And oh, okay, Cheryl, you were saying you felt my tears. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. My tears were definitely good. I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful that I have a space to share it with friends like you. So, thank you so much, you guys. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.